Hey, hello, hello, hello. Hey, you guys. I usually get to do this way earlier in the day, and today just kind of got away on me, in a way. But listen to our crows. Today got away on me a little bit. Um, I had a friend drop over this morning, and we did a little interview or conversation about suicide and about mental illness, and because we have some friends that are doing are in the middle of a walk from Vancouver to Calgary, and they're on the trail. They're not on the highway. They're on a trail of sorts, and it's become quite an odyssey. And their intention is to raise awareness around mental illness and suicide, and with a thought that we can destigmatize a little bit that whole thing. And so we did a video this morning about that, and about the walk a bit, but about also our personal experiences around suicide, and I can't think of any long period of time where in my life in the last 40 plus years where there hasn't been somebody commit suicide that I know or know of, and it's a pretty permanent decision for a long or short-term situation. Often whatever we're going through that seems so dire passes. It always passes, doesn't it? It always passes. And most of us who've gone through those things, we come out the other side more connected to source, more awake, more aware, more able to help others, and and often we don't even see that maybe sometime in our life our prayer had been to give us strength, to give us so that we can pass it on. And strength doesn't come from an easy life. It comes from sometimes the hard knocks, and being exposed to struggle strengthens us and helps us create awareness. So, but when we're in it, of course, it looks so real. It looks so real. It's like, holy shit, my life is falling apart. And when in fact, it quite likely, hey buddy, is falling together. It looks like it's falling apart. The crazy mind. I get a kick. Some of you may be offended when I talk about my crazy mind or your crazy mind, but it can't be trusted. It can't be, because it interprets things often in the worst light. It does. The worst light. It often does. So we can't really trust our crazy mind. So if we can't trust our crazy mind, what can we trust? What can we trust? Hello, Olga. Hi, Heather. So we need a source that can guide us through our tough times, so we need, I believe, to find our way to connect to that source, because otherwise we're disconnected. We're not one with the source if we're trying to run the show ourselves. Hi. And when we're running the show ourselves, it's often comes from fear, from our perception of the situation. Oh my God, this is wrong and that's wrong. And we're never going to get out of this debt. We're never. Oh my gosh, So we pile up things on top of ourselves of all the woes, and that's our own mind making that shit up, and judging ourselves. So, and often it, you know, we get to a place of desperation. Now, out of desperation can come awakening. Nothing wrong with desperation. Out of desperation can come awakening. And the awakening is, oh my gosh, there, we see the mind, we see the ego, and it's exposed in awakening. It's like, oh gosh, my thoughts can't be trusted. Maybe they're not even my thoughts. Maybe it's a collective thinking sometimes that I'm plugged into. Hi, Kathy. So, so out of desperation can come some amazing stuff. If you're there, recognize the gifts that are there. Yeah, and it helps to have some support. It really does. And we talked about this morning in the interview I did with Charles Delaharp, beautiful man, came to do that interview of me today, and it was pretty cool. So Charles and I talked a bit about support, because when we're in the shit, we're deep in the shit, sometimes it helps to have somebody around us, community, like a 12-step group, to guide us through the dark places, to normalize, because we've all been through them, and when we're on our own, and this is where the stigmatization of mental illness is really detrimental to the whole thing, because when we're in the shit, we think I'm the only one in the shit. I'm the only one that's thinking like this, and I must be, crazy. Well, in a way, that's fine, because there's a lot of us. But when we're in it, sometimes we just hold it. We think, my God, I'm the only one like this. Nobody understands me. Nobody knows me. And that's bullshit. It really is. Forgive me, but that's bullshit. So just recognize that there's many of us, and find your people. And they may be in a 12-step group, because there are now, I think some 200 plus different roads into the 12 steps. Emotions Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous. Maybe your problem is, an addiction to food, and or Sex and Love Anonymous, and Gamblers Anonymous, and maybe the symptoms of this denial of ourselves, denial of our divinity, actually, is what it is. And it shows up in the symptoms of alcoholism and addiction. But there's many roads to this spiritual path that I talk about, which is the 12 steps. Many roads to this, and many healings available there. So, it's funny. Sometimes people will say, "Well, no, I have a real mental illness. I need to go for therapy." Well, therapy's fine. Therapy helps us to normalize again, helps us to reframe, but it won't lift us up necessarily. So what happens with a spiritual solution is we're lifted out of guilt and shame and fear and anger and desire, and we're lifted above that into love and acceptance, and from love, from unconditional love, which if you're in a group like a 12-step group, that's what's there, is unconditional acceptance, unconditional love. When you're lifted into that place and you start to help others, the other stuff's gone. It's just gone. And therapy sometimes helps us muck around in that, and yeah, we can reframe, and there's some nice stuff that comes from it. But until we find our divinity within, our God within, we're going to be in that. So let's recognize that many people are stuck in their minds, stuck in their thoughts, and judging themselves and judging others, and separating ourselves from others, and living in right and wrong and good and bad, and it's all from the mind. It's all from the mind. And when we move up into love and unconditional love, which the 12 steps vibrates at a level of unconditional love, then there's just one. There's no judging. We just can be there in love. We can know a peace. That's right. our fear of others and how we look and will disappear. So it's possible to, through community, through love, through the steps, through a spiritual approach to life, to heal. Love heals. So that's my little run on today. Hi, Jilly. Gosh, it's nice to see you here. And I hope you're well. I can't wait till we can get back to seeing each other in groups again soon. You know, we're working on that in my home group to find a location. Okay. Love you guys. Listen to the planes, eh? You can tell the world has woken up from its time of the virus. It might even be a helicopter. I don't know. Anyway, okay. Love you guys. I'm going to read today. I think it's what is it? I haven't read since yesterday. It's interesting that a lot of people are on, because I moved this onto YouTube as well. I do it on Facebook, but then I do it, I download it to YouTube, and people from all over North America are people from all over North America are making comments on my YouTube channel and enjoying these readings. And even though I think, you know, this was written in 1954, and I sometimes edit as I go because it's a little dated, whatever. The message is a message of of healing and a message of love, and you know, it really is the message of the possibility. The possibility. Ha! I just got something. Can I share with you guys something? Sometimes we think that because our friend committed suicide, you know, and many of us know people who have, probably we all know people who have, that they lost hope. And hope actually is an imposter. Okay? I want you to know that hope is an imposter. Hope is of the future. Hope keeps us out of the moment. So just recognize that at one level, of course, hope can be helpful. But as we move more into the spiritual way of living, we recognize that hope isn't needed, because a knowing comes, a knowing in the moment. We don't need hope because we know. We are one with the universe. We are one with God. We recognize our divinity. So relax into that. Let go of identity. Let go of desire for things to be different. Just watch. Life has us anyway. All of our farting and fooling around, all of our wishing things would be different, doesn't give us peace. We're still in our mind. So hope can keep us in the mind. Let's let go of hope, you know. And it's okay to be here now, because it's our vision of the future that brings us into a hopeless state. We were in a hopeless state of mind and body, and then we were awoken. So let go of hope. Just think about that a bit. Okay, you guys. I don't know where that came from. Love you. Here we go. July 30th. Thought for the day. It says the other day we should not worry about is tomorrow. Oh, they were talking yesterday about the 2 days of the week we shouldn't worry about. So here we go. Tomorrow. This is possibly what it's possible adversities, its burdens, its large promise, perhaps its poor performance. Tomorrow is also beyond our control, immediate control. When we get there, it's still beyond our control. Tomorrow's sun will rise, either in splendor or behind a mask of clouds, but it will rise. Until it does, we have no stake in tomorrow, for it is as yet unborn. Do I still worry too much about tomorrow? Any worry about tomorrow is too much. Do I still place my hopes in tomorrow? Waste of time. Just be here now. Meditation today. Faith, it says, is the substance of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen. Faith is not seeing, but believing. So I see his writing as kind of based in the future, but I'll go with it because I think that faith actually is still on the way to knowing. Faith and hope is on the way to knowing. Faith is not seeing but believing. So believing again is of the mind. Down through the ages, there have always been those who obeyed the heavenly vision, not seeing but believing in God. And their faith was rewarded. So shall it be to you. Good things will happen to you. You cannot see God. Well, you can actually. But you can see the results of faith in human lives, changing them from defeat to victory. God's grace is available to all who have faith, not seeing, but believing. With faith, life can be victorious and happy. You know, I think that God's grace is available to all, whether they believe or not. I think the fact that we're even here is God's grace. So he puts a condition on it. But what I do love about his writing is that it helps me to see that there is something way beyond. There's a path, and he's on a path, and the possibility of dropping all of that and being here now, just it's pretty cool. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have faith enough to believe without seeing. So know then, if you don't have the faith, know that I do, and many do, and that yours will grow into a knowing. Your faith can grow into a knowing, and then faith is not necessary. It's like the difference between knowing that you have a brother that you've never met. Your mother had another son, and you know that she had the son, and you believe that she had the son, but you haven't met him. So you believe that there's a son. You have faith that there is, and then you meet him, and you no longer believe. You know you've met him. He's not something that you need to believe that there's a brother out there you haven't met, because you have met him, and then it becomes a knowing. And that's the difference between faith and belief and knowing. Okay, you guys. Love you lots. That was a mouthful. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks so much. Cheers.